Israel built its battlefield doctrine around electronic dominance. But in southern Lebanon, Hezbollah used a drone that can't be jammed, can't be spoofed, and may have no reliable counter. Has a cheap wire-guided drone just exposed a major weakness in Israel's military? It was supposed to be a routine operation in southern Lebanon. Then a drone appeared. On April 26th, in the small Lebanese village of A-Tayyiba, an explosive drone struck a group of Israeli soldiers. Sergeant Idan Fox, an armoured fighter, was killed. 6 others were wounded, 4 of them seriously. And as the evacuation began, as a rescue helicopter sat on the ground and medics rushed to the injured, Hezbollah launched a second drone. It exploded directly over the evacuation force, just meters from the helicopter. Hezbollah has increasingly relied on explosive drones as a central weapon, rather than rockets and anti-tank missiles, and that the group now possesses fiber-optic guided drones that are resistant to the Israeli army's electronic warfare and detection systems. That last part is what keeps military planners up at night. Here is how it works. Hezbollah operates 2 types of explosive drones. The first uses radio frequency signals to navigate, and Israel has been fairly effective at jamming and shooting those down. The second type is different and far more dangerous. It runs on a fiber-optic cable, a physical wire that trails behind the drone as it flies. Because it is guided by light signals through a wire, rather than radio waves through the air, electronic jamming simply does not work. The IDF's entire arsenal of electronic warfare tools, systems that Israel has spent decades developing and billions of dollars perfecting, are rendered useless against it. These drones can fly up to 15 kilometres from their operators and carry between 1 and 6 kilograms of explosives. They resemble those deployed in the Russia-Ukraine war, and Hezbollah demonstrates considerable operational proficiency in their use. This is not a group fumbling with new technology. These are trained operatives who have studied the Ukrainian battlefield, absorbed its lessons, and applied them with precision. These explosive drones are the most serious threat currently facing military forces. Hezbollah repeatedly deploys drones in a manner that suggests operational confidence on the ground. The paper concluded that a consistent pattern is emerging. This is no longer an emerging threat, but a present and persistent danger, and possibly the most complex challenge on the Northern Front, given the lack of an effective countermeasure so far. No effective countermeasure? The uncomfortable question now circulating inside the Israeli military is not just how to stop these drones. It is why the army was not better prepared to begin with. Channel 12 reported significant internal criticism, stating that the Israeli army failed to adequately prioritise the threat in a timely manner, despite clear and documented lessons from the war in Ukraine, where both Russian and Ukrainian forces have used fiber-optic drones extensively since 2023. The assessment that such capabilities could migrate to the Northern Front appears to have come too late. There is another detail that stings. Ukraine itself offered assistance to Israel in dealing with unmanned aerial vehicles during the war. That offer, according to Channel 12, was not taken up. Whether it was bureaucratic delay, strategic miscalculation, or simply not seeing the urgency, the result is the same. Israeli soldiers are now facing a weapon for which there is no reliable answer. The IDF is not standing still. The military is currently testing new detection and interception systems that do not depend on electronic warfare, systems designed from the ground up to counter fiber-optic guidance. Channel 12 called it a technological arms race, while also acknowledging that no country currently possesses a complete solution to the drone threat. Battlefield blurred, where ambulances don't just carry the wounded, but allegedly conceal weapons and fighters. The Israeli military says Hezbollah has been using ambulances and medical teams to transport weapons and operatives across Lebanon, disguising movement and exploiting protected medical infrastructure. Footage released by the military on April 24th revealed. According to the IDF, this practice has been systematic and repeated, undermining the protections granted to medical facilities under international law.
This footage constitutes evidence of Hezbollah's use of medical vehicles to exploit their protected status. The IDF will continue to operate in accordance with international law regarding medical facilities, despite Hezbollah's decision to exploit them for terrorist purposes in blatant violation of international law.
The military says its warnings to civilians in southern Lebanon ahead of strikes have made it harder for Hezbollah fighters to operate unnoticed, pushing them to increasingly rely on ambulances to move between locations. In one incident, Golani Brigade troops searching the municipality of Kontara reportedly discovered an ambulance being used to conceal weapons, including explosive devices, mortar shells, magazines, and a grenade. In a separate encounter last month, troops from the 7th Brigade identified a Hezbollah operative near an ambulance carrying an RPG anti-tank launcher. The individual opened fire and was subsequently killed. Further weapons were later recovered from inside the same vehicle. Additional footage released by the IDF shows fighters fleeing strikes on foot, taking cover in open fields before being collected by ambulances. The individuals were then reportedly placed on stretchers inside body bags, appearing unharmed. The Israeli military says this constitutes clear evidence of Hezbollah exploiting the protected status of medical vehicles for operational purposes. The developments come amid heightened tensions along the Israel-Lebanon border, even as a ceasefire remains in place. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu accused Hezbollah of attempting to derail ongoing efforts towards a potential peace agreement with Lebanon. According to the IDF, the strikes targeted military structures in the village of Deir Arms, from where rockets had reportedly been launched towards the Israeli town of Shtula a day earlier. The Israeli military stated that these structures were being used by Hezbollah to advance operations against Israeli forces and the state. Prior to the strikes, residents in the area were warned to evacuate. The military's Arabic language spokesman instructed civilians to move at least 1,000 meters away from the targeted zone, citing ongoing Hezbollah activity. Deir Aims lies north of the so-called Yellow Line, an area where Israeli forces continue to operate despite the ceasefire arrangements. Meanwhile, Netanyahu also confirmed that he had held what he described as an excellent conversation with US President Donald Trump, noting continued coordination and pressure on Iran, both economically and militarily.